Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, I welcome Ms. Vishnu Priya B. and she will talk on the topic application of drones in agriculture. I now request the speaker to begin. Thank you.
A very good evening, one and all gathered here. Myself Vishnu Priya, currently pursuing my second PhD at Department of Agriculture Extension and Rural Sociology. Today, we are going to see an important topic, that is drone, application of drone in agriculture. So before knowing about the drone, first we need to know about the genesis of agriculture. So basically, the aspect of agriculture has been classified into four major categories currently. That is agriculture 1.0 era, that is in the 10,000 BC. Where the usage of simple tools man in the 19th century, that is the agriculture 2.0 era, where the usage of chemicals, agriculture machineries, etc. has been started using in the field of agriculture. That is in the 19th century, the usage of chemical has been started, that is in and around 1961 period. And the next is agriculture 3.0, where the utilization of robotics computer program has been started in many developed countries. In agriculture 4.0, the smart devices and smart systems has been started using, that is in the today era, the internet of things, big data, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, etc. has been started using in the field of agriculture. Now the drone fall under the agriculture 4.0 era, that is smart devices and smart systems. So what is drone? Drone is commonly known as unmanned aerial vehicle. It is remotely piloted aircraft controlled by the human operator, or it may be operated autonomously using the advanced navigation system. So the drone has certain key component, that is it will have a navigation system, a remote control system, a power unit, a spraying or imaging unit. So these are the key components of the drone. So the evolution of agriculture drones, I had given a simple flow diagram. First, initially, the drone was used for military surveillance. Later, it has been adopted for aerial photography and mapping system. Later, currently in 2015 to 20 period, the drone was introduced in the field of agriculture. Exactly in 2015, it has been started for the fertilizer application, etc. So the advanced features like precision spraying, NDVI crop health monitoring, variable rate application, etc. has been the advanced feature where the drone was used. Today, the drone support agriculture 4.4 and precision farming system. So before we are going deep into the drone, first we need to know more about the classification of drone. Here the drone has been classified in many ways. I had chosen this way, that is that were classified based on the wings and rotor system. Basically, using the wings, it has been classified as fixed wings. Based on the rotor, it has been classified as single rotor, quadrocopter, exocopter, tricopter. This tri, hexa, and quadra is the propeller, based on the propeller that has been classified. So before we are going deep into the drone, first we need to know about the flying zones in drone. The DGCA has classified drone flying zones into three major categories, that is green zone, yellow zone, red zone. The green zone is the airspace up to 400 feet where the drones can be operated without prior permission. That is 12 kilometers from the radius of airport. Next is yellow zone. Yellow zone is controlled airspace where the drone operation required air traffic control permission. That is, we need to get the prior permission from the respective departments. Next is red zone. This is the restricted area where the drone flying is completely prohibited without approval from the center government. So the red zone comes under the category that was very near to the airport. So why they are classified, that will be we will be seeing in the next slides. So the airspace zone in India has been classified by digital sky classification. So the zone, we already seen that green zone, yellow zone, and red zone. In the green zone, the maximum height is up to 120 meter. Using the standard safety rules, we can drive the drone. In the yellow zone, without permission, we can't operate our drone. Usually, it will be less than 120 meter. Here, we need to get the prior approval from the DGCA. Next is the red zone. Here, we couldn't fly the drone, and the height limit is not permitted, and the center government approval is actually needed for the flying of drone in the red zone. Usually, the government won't allow the drone to fly in the red zone. Next, who regulated the drone flying in India? So the drone operation in India has been regulated by Director General of Civil Aviation under the Drone Rules Framework. This Drone Rule Framework was laid on 2021. Every legal drone flying in India has to follow these three major things. First, they should be following the drone rules of 2021. This was recently amended in 2026 January. Next is digital sky airspace classification, that we already seen, that red zone, yellow zone, and green zone. Next is local administrative security restriction need to be followed. If you are operating the zone without following these rules, it will considered as illegal. Okay, first, so if they marked you as a illegal flying, you need to pay the heavy penalties to the center government, that is to the DGCA. Next, we are repeatedly seeing 120 meters, less than 120 meters in the green zone and yellow zone. What is the 120 meter height limit? The 120 meter rules ensure the drones remains below the altitude of manned aircraft. That is that should not be mixed with the aeroplanes line. So the 120 meter rules is followed. So this limits the safety buffer between the drone and aircraft, and it reduces the collision risk and airspace interference, and it simplifies the airspace management for the authorities. And the 120 meter rules was aligned with the international drone safety standards. From the aviation safety point of view, the 120 meter cap is practical, and it is globally accepted by all the countries, and it is crucial for both the pilot and the public safety. So the 120 meter height limit is very much required for the flying of drone in India as well as in international standards. Next, does the drone weight affects the height limit? Basically, it won't affect the height limit. The drone weight does not affect the altitude limit also. Whether our drones comes under the 250 grams, 1 kg, 5 kg or 25 kg, the maximum legal altitude remains 120. Some may think that if our drone size is 250 grams or less than the 250 grams, we can fly above the 120 meter. No, it is not permitted to fly above 120 meters as per the DGCA rules. So the weight classification has been categorized by the DGCA under the drone rules of 2021. It was classified as nano, micro, small, medium, and large. It was classified based on the weight of the drone. Basically, the nano drones and the micro drones need like minimal approval, whereas we are going for the small, medium, and large drone. We need to get a heavy legal requirement is there for the small, medium, and large drones. So before going deep onto the application of drone, first we need to know more about the drone anatomy. So the drone consists of a propeller, that is a wing, and next is a motor. The below the propeller, the motor will be there, that is used for rotation of the particular propeller. Next is a camera, a forward vision system, backward vision system. Then a landing gear will be there in every drone, and a downward vision system and forward vision system is for flying of the drone in the proper direction or appropriate direction. Next is aircraft status indicator. Next is a front LED lights. If we are using the drone in the night time, we need the LED lights on the both the sides. So these are the basic anatomy of the drone. The very, very important anatomy is that is the propeller, a motor, a camera, and a vision system. Next is agriculture drone anatomy. Basically, agriculture drone consists of a tank, that is where the chemical will be stored. Next is a spray nozzle. Next is a pump system for the pushing of chemicals from the tank. Next is a flow control system, and a radar or the obstacle sensors. So these are the major component of agriculture drone. So here the diagram is also depicting that in the payload, instead of the payload, it will they mentioned as a tank. Okay, so this is the basic agriculture drone anatomy. Next is we had seen in the previous slide that payload or a camera, etc. Okay, so we need to know more about the sensors and cameras utilized for the drones. They had classified into 4 major criteria based on the cameras and sensors. First camera is FPV camera. It is the first person view camera. It allows the pilot to see from the drone perspective in a real time. So how the drone is actually seeing from the top, that will be seeing using the FPV cameras. They are commonly used in racing and recreational drones. They will be using the FPV cameras. Then second is thermal cameras. Thermal cameras are detect the heat signature, and they are used for applications like search or rescue operations during the flood or a heavy disaster period. So the thermal camera drones will be used. It will also used for the building inspection and wildlife monitoring in the forest and all. Nowadays the drones are used for monitoring the wildlife, so the thermal cameras will be used in those drones for the monitoring of the wildlife. Next is multispectral sensors. These sensors capture the data across the multiple wavelengths, allowing for the detailed analysis of vegetation health, soil condition, and environmental monitoring. So this is the multispectral sensor. Most of the agriculture sensor, they will be using, most of the agriculture drones, they will be using the multispectral sensors and thermal sensors. Next is RGB cameras. It is a standard cameras that captures the image in the visible spectrum. They are widely used for the photography and videography. Most of the marriages and most of the event nowadays, they are using the drone for capturing the videos and photography. So they will be using this RGB cameras. Next, how we need to get the license for purchasing the drone, or suppose I'm willing to purchase a drone, what are the license I need to get? Like if suppose we are buying a two-wheeler also, we are getting the license and we are registering under the transportation department, etc. So drone is also having the certain procedures. First, registration of the drone. Every drone must be registered under the DGCA Digital Sky platform, and every drone will be assigned with a unique number, like our two-wheelers and all getting certain numbers, right? So drone will also get the unique identification number. This ensures the traceability and legal recognition of the drone. Suppose if the drone is not registered and it is flying now, they couldn't identify, right? So the registration is must with the unique identification number. Next is remote pilot license. This is the drone operator must obtain from remote pilot certification from DGCA authorized training organization. Currently in Tamil Nadu, there are 3 to 4 remote pilot certification training organization. One is in Coimbatore, and one is in Chennai, and one is in Madurai. So using the Department of Remote Sensing and GIS, they are giving the authorized training. So it is mandatory for operating the drone legally, especially for the commercial purposes. Suppose many private organizations are purchasing the drones, and they are lending to the farmers for the duration of certain time, so that they need proper piloted license with them, so that they could do their business in the legal manner. So the remote pilot licensing is very much important for the licensing of drone. Next is insurance. It is recommended. So the drone insurance is advised to cover the damages or accident. Sometimes what happen in the if suppose the drone is survived in the forest area, suppose the forest fire has happened, what will happen? The drone will get collapsed. If suppose they are registered in the recommended insurance drone insurance company, they could get the proper coverage for the loss or the damages in the particular drone. So the insurance is very much like two-wheeler. We are also getting the insurance coverage, right? So the drone is also having the insurance coverage. Next is training. The operator must undergo the proper training, like flight control, safety protocols, and regulation. In the remote pilot license, they will be getting proper training using the authorized training organizations. Next, we are now get an idea about what is drone, what are the classification of the drone, how the drone is operating, what are the parts and anatomy of the drone, and how to get the legal license for the purchasing of drone. Now we need to know about the cost of the particular drone. Suppose you are buying the agriculture drone, that is quadrocopter. the cost ranges between 3,75,000 to 4 lakhs. It will work for 20 minutes. The flight time is 20 minutes and it covers around 900-meter range. And the capacity of the tank is 10 liter. And another one is there, that is hexacopter, that costs between 3,90,000 to 4,20,000. So it will also cover for 20 minutes, but the cost difference is because of the range of kilometer it's cover. It will cover about 1.2 kilometer in that 20 minutes. Then the capacity of the tank is very similar, that both are 10 liter capacity. So the only difference is the range coverage, that is this is 900 meter and this is 1.2 kilometer. So this is the basic difference between the quadrocopter and hexacopter. This is the cost difference. The only cost difference is because of the range. Next is beginners, that is T-Low, that will cost around 11,800, and Mivik Mini combo, that is 63,000. Mivik Mini 2 combo, that is 72,000. Here the timings and all will be very high, but why the agriculture timing is very low, is flight time is very low, is because of the payload and the weight capacity of the particular tank. So this is the cost, and this is the professional level drones that we didn't cover here. So now we are focusing upon the different usage of drone. The drone is used for search and rescue operation. Next is surveillance. Next is for the agriculture purposes. Next is for the delivery and photography. Currently, all the services has been done using the drone system in India as well as the international level. So now we are jumping into our actual topic, that is the application of drone in agriculture. Now we have a good idea about the drone anatomy, purchasing, licensing, etc. Now you are ready for application of drone in agriculture. So currently these are the 11 major part where the drone has been used in agriculture. First is crop monitoring, pest and diseases, precision spraying, soil analysis, irrigation management, crop health mapping, yield estimation, plant count, counting of the plant in a particular square feet of area. Next is aerial seedlings, crop insurance assessment, and weed detection. So these are the areas currently used by all the international countries and even India. Mostly they are using for the crop monitoring, spraying, soil analysis. These are the major thing India is using, but international level they are having a huge amount of land. Suppose we are seeing USA will have minimum, a farmer will have about 150 to 200 acres. They will be holding the large land area. When we compare to the India, the farmer will be having like less than 1 acre, or even some farmers will have very less than 1 acre. The minimum range between the land holding in India is from 5 lakh. That is a maximum, and minimal is less than 1 acre. 5 hectare to 1 acre to 5 acre. This is the maximum and minimum range in Indian status. So the utilization of the drone is currently done by the large farmers. The small and marginal farmers currently not using in many of the areas. If they are doing the community farming, they are using the drones, because the total area will be monitored by they will be doing all the operation at eventual time, so that in that area they are using the drones. But the small farmers or medium farmers, they are not using the drones. So moving on to the crop monitoring. For the crop monitoring, the drone capture real-time images of the crop across a larger field. It helps to identify the growth variation and the problem area in the particular region or the particular field. It will reduce the need for manual field visit. In India, what they will do, the farmers will be walking throughout the field bund, and they will be seeing the field every day. They will be seeing the field. And they will be monitoring the field. They will be walking throughout all the 1 acre or 2 acres. They will be walking and seeing whether the crop is healthy or not, whether it has been infested by pests or diseases. They will be monitoring manually. So using the drone, it will be covering 10 acres in 5 minutes. It will monitor even 10 acres in 5 minutes. It will completely reduces the time and manual work. Next, it enables the timely decision making by the farmers. Suppose if the farmer is working all around the 1 acre, what he will do, he will be seeing just the bunded area, and around the bund he will be noticing. And the farmer could not able to see the middle part of the field, and he could not have the proper access to see whether the irrigation is properly done. In the middle of the field, whether the crop is infected by any of the pest or disease, farmers couldn't know that. So using the drone, we could cover entirely, so that the drone is very much useful for the crop monitoring, and it will improve the overall farm management efficiency. What this point is telling means that, using the crop monitoring, we could identify the pest and diseases, the water requirement, weed infestation, pest infestation, everything will be fine using this crop monitoring, so that we could reduce the cost of fertilizer or herbicide. Suppose the particular field, in a field only the left portion is affected severely by certain pests, we could apply the fertilizer or pesticide in that particular region, instead of applying to the whole field, so that it will reduce the cost. And suppose a weed is predominant in the middle part of the field, so that we can apply the herbicide using the drone in the particular region alone, so that the cost may be get reduced, and the manual labor is will reduce, and the cost of extra cost for the field will get reduced, so that it will useful for overall farm management efficiency. Next is pest and disease detection. It will detect the pest and diseases with the initial early sign itself. So using high resolution and multispectral images, the drone will detect the pest, and it will detect which plant has been affected by which disease or pest. It will be identified. It identifies the infested zone before spreading. Suppose a particular infection is in the corner of the field or near the bund, the drone will capture before it has been spreading to the entire field. So it will be useful for targeting the pesticide application and targeting the pest management practices, etc. So it will reduces the crop losses, and it will reduces the chemical usage in the field. See the image in the bottom, that is A and B image. This is the banana field, where the drone has been detected the particular plant, that is second row, first one. It is detected with the certain pest or diseases. What it will do now, it will spray the particular pesticide in the plant, and it will be arresting the spread of particular pest or diseases to the entire field, so that the crop loss will be reduced, and maximization of yield will be happen. In the B image, it is a overall village where the plantation crop has been cultivated. It is detecting which diseases has been affected in a region, and it will be giving certain recommendation for the particular diseases. So this is the major role of drone in pest and disease detection. Here the example, that rice pest has been affected in the particular village, that has been modeled using the pest. How it is done means, it is constructing the hazard map by using those model. Here the blue color depicts the paddy field, and the source of habitation has been mentioned in the pink color, and the green color is other crops and soybean crop. It will be grading the pest infestation by 4 major categories. First is first grade. It will be the pest infestation will be less than 0.1%. In the pink color, it is depicting that the second grade of infestation, that is 0.1 to 0.3%, and the third grade is 0.3 to 0.7%, and less than 0.7 is the pink color, that is substandard. This is what the map is construction of hazard map by using certain modeling. So this is the output of drone for the pest and disease reduction. Next is precision spraying, that is fertilizer spraying, herbicide spraying, etc. So in using the drones, it applies the pesticide, fertilizer, herbicide, etc. It ensures the uniform distribution across the overall field. It will reduce the chemical wastage and the cost of the chemical purchase, because the nozzle will spread according to the actual requirement of the infestation or the growth, so that the fertilizer wastage will be reduced, and the cost will be get reduced, and it saves the labor and time significantly. It enhances the crop productivity and safety to the farmers. Many of the pesticide or fertilizers are hazardous to the human. They will be getting certain respiratory issues while spraying the fertilizers or herbicide. The farmers get affected by the lung diseases, so that will be get reduced. So these are the major activity done using the drone for the spraying. This is very important. The precision spraying is very important because currently we are using drone for spraying of fertilizer, herbicide, etc. So the spray droplet diameter, we need to understand the spray droplet diameter in the drone spraying. So they are categorized. The DGCA has been categorized the droplet size accordingly. That is very fine, medium, core, very coarse. So the size is less than 100 microns, 100 to 200 microns, 200 to 300, 300 to 400, and greater than 400 microns. So in the very fine, the droplet size will be less than 100 microns. That is, there will be high drift and very the chemical weightage will be very light. Next is fine, that is 100 to 200 micron. It will have the good coverage in the leaf, and there will be less drift risk. Next is 200 to 300 micron. It is medium and balanced and ideal for all the fertilizer, herbicide, bio inputs, etc. Next is core. Core is 300 to 400 micron. It is very drift and less coverage in the field. In the next slide, I will show the actual droplet size in the field leaf. Next is very coarse, that is greater than 400 micron. The droplet size will be heavy and there will be low drift. So the recommended droplet size for the crop, that is insecticide, need to be 150 to 200 micron, and this will have the good leaf coverage. Then is fungicide need to be in the droplet size of 200 to 200 micron, 100 to 200 micron. That is fine droplet is needed for fungicide spraying. Next is herbicide is 250 to 400 micron, that will reduce the drift. And for the bio inputs, 200 to 300 micron. The moderate size is preferred for the bio input spraying. So this image shows the comparison between the droplet density and coverage of the pesticide or fertilizers. So the droplet size and surface coverage, suppose the 250 micron droplet, it will cover around 8 to 9 droplets in a particular leaf. Suppose the droplet size is 500 microns, that is greater than 400 cores, means only one droplet per leaf will be there. 125 micron, there will be 64 droplets per leaf. So we need to reduce the micron so that the droplet size will be more in particular leaf. Next is for the the drone is used for the soil analysis. It provides the information on soil variability. It identifies the moisture level and fertility status of the soil. It helps in site-specific nutrient management, and it supports the precision farming practices. It will improve the soil health management decision also. So this is what the soil analysis has been done using the drone. This image shows the actual drone image of the soil analysis map. So each color depicting certain level of changes in the soil texture. So this is the overall image that has been shown in the left corner, that is the green image. This is the total village image, where the blue dots is the farm border, and the steady area of the particular village has been marked as shed. So this is the drone is used on the particular region, and it was analyzed the soil in the area. It shows that it has been differentiated into irrigated plots and non-irrigated plots, and here it is showing the crop density and soil condition in the red colored dot images. So this will be the output of the soil analysis. Next is irrigation management. For the irrigation management, the drone detects actual water stress in the crop using the thermal sensor. As we discussed earlier, the thermal sensor will detect the heat signature, and it is used for search and rescue operation, etc. So here the thermal sensor has been used so that we could get the proper heat signature. It will identify over irrigated and under irrigated areas separately, and it helps to helps the optimum water usage efficiency. It supports the, as usual, it supports the sustainable irrigation practices and reduces the water wastage and the cost. Why they are mentioning cost is in Indian farming system, the small and marginal farmers are dominated. So all the small and marginal farmers don't have the proper water facilities in their field. So they will be borrowing from the neighboring farmer. So they need to pay for the time basis. They need to pay to the neighboring farmers. So it will also reduces the cost of water. Also, it will be get reduced. So what actually this is showing is, using the drone, we could identify the plant actual transpiration rate, so that we can identify water requirement of the particular plant. How this drone image is giving us the output means, suppose the plant is having high transpiration, that is the stomatal opening is for the long period of time, there will be low canopy temperature. In while we are studying the crop physiology course, what we read means the transpiration should be more. But now currently the scientists are telling that there should be high transpiration rate, so that the plant canopy temperature will be get reduced, so that the water requirement will also get reduced, so that currently as per the scientist recommendation, a particular plant need to have high transpiration rate, which could positively impact of low canopy temperature. So what this drone actually does means, they will measure the transpiration rate and canopy temperature of the particular plant using the thermal sensors. Using that, we can identify the required amount of water to the particular plant in a field. So this is the overall idea of the drone usage in the irrigation management. Next is crop health monitoring. So the crop health mapping, that is NDVI, means normal difference vegetation index. It has been this term has been predominantly used by remote sensing and GIS peoples. So what this crop health mapping is done means, it uses NDVI to assess the plant health and vigor. It differentiates the healthy plant and stressed plant. It generates the color code field map, so that we could identify whether the plant is in the good health or it is in the stressed condition. So they has been categorized into red to green, that is 0 to 1 category. In the red zone, it is if the suppose the plant fall under the red category, there is a certain developmental problem. If the plant fall under the green category, all is good and the plant is growing perfectly. Suppose if the plant fall under the green category, the overall field has been infested by the weed population. That is, the plant and weed ratio has been somewhat high when compared to the healthy field. So the crop health mapping is completely done using the color code field map. It helps in early intervention decisions and it improves the yield through better monitoring. So the NDVI calculation, what it actually does means, the drone will image the particular field and it gives the mosaicing and calibration. And from that calibration, using the NDVI index, what they will do now, they will be categorizing according to the formula. They will be categorizing the field under green to red. Moving on to the actual status of crop health mapping. They have categorized using simple example, that is dead leaf, stressed leaf and healthy leaf. The healthy leaf reflects more green light and it appears to the green light will be high, so that the chlorophyll content will be high, the plant will be very good. In the stressed leaf, they will be reflecting very low green light and the chlorophyll content will be somewhat low when compared to the healthy plant. The plant falls under the stressed condition because of the green and red light absorption. Next is dead leaf. In the dead leaf, this indicates that there is no photosynthesis in the particular leaf, and they are not observing any lights for the photosynthesis process, because the photosynthesis process will be completely stopped here. So basically it has been done using the color maps. Next is yield estimation. Using the drone, we could estimate the yield by plant count and the growth analysis. We can identify the yield. We can estimate the yield of the particular field. It helps in planning and storaging and marketing of the particular commodity. It supports for better decision making and it reduces the uncertainty in the production. Farmers couldn't predict the production of the particular field. So that using the yield estimation by the drone, we can reduce the uncertainty in the production, and it supports for the better decision making, like where we can market our particular commodity, where we can store, and where we can sell our commodity, etc. We can plan accordingly using the yield estimation by drone. So in the image 1, that is in the A, it shows the drone image. In the B, how it is actually working has been shown in the B image. This is actually a apple farm in Himachal region, that is Kulu Manali region, where the drone is used. It has been detecting number of plant per square feet area, and how the growth has been done when compared to the other plant. Using this, the yield was being estimated. So in the C part, it shows that square mark. What it actually means it shows that one particular crop, one particular plant that has been affected or infested by something else, so that the yield of the particular plant will get reduced, so that it has been completely given as an image using the yield estimation about our production and productivity. Next is aerial seedling. Aerial seedling is done in the region of hilly region or forest region. The aerial seeding is done using the drone. It saves the labor and time, and many of the areas are inaccessible by the human. So this drone is used for aerial seedling, and it ensures the uniform seed distribution. Means that there will be the dropping time will be fixed, so that the uniform seedling has been done using the aerial seedling. And it is as I discussed earlier, it is used in the forest and restoration project. Like suppose if the forest is affected by the forest fire, and there is a complete damage or a gap in the particular region, what they will do now, using the drone, they will be spreading the seedlings in the particular forest area. So the drone is used for the seedling in the forest and restoration projects. Next is crop insurance assessment. In the crop insurance assessment using the drone, it assesses the crop damage after a particular disaster, that may even a flood or drought, etc. So it will assess the crop damage. It provides accurate and quick field data. It supports insurance claim and verification, and it reduces the manual inspection errors and speed up the compensation process. So what the actual manual procedure for the crop insurance assessment is, a field man in a particular village in agriculture office, the person will be investigating all the fields in a particular village, and they will be assessing the crop losses during the disaster, and they will be giving the insurance coverage to the particular field which is affected severely by the disaster. So what happening in the real scenario is that the heavily damaged farmers didn't get proper insurance claim when compared to the others. What happened now, there exists certain politics that the particular agriculture officer is very friendly with one farmer. What he will do now, he will give 80% of the subsidy to the particular farmer, where the actual subsidy is 40% we can give for the crop losses, but the particular officer will do 80% coverage to them, and originally affected farmers didn't get the insurance claims at all. So using the drone, the crop insurance assessment is done, where the overall village is assessed, and how it will assess now, per square feet area, how much crop has been dead, and how much crop it has been affected. Using that, the plant count will be done. By that, when comparing to the overall village losses, it will provide the insurance assessment coverage. So the drone in the field of crop insurance assessment is very useful. Currently it is used in USA and Australia. It has been used for the crop insurance assessment. So this is the flood affected region, where it shows overall field in a particular village which has been affected in the flood. So they will be categorizing 80% coverage, 70% coverage, 60% insurance claims for the particular farmers, depending upon the overall damage of the particular village. So this is the software where the image from this image has been fed into the software. What it will do now, it will categorize according to the color mode, grayscale, red, green, thermal, and spectral. They will be categorizing, and they will be showing us which is heavily affected. That is the crop insurance coverage, 40%, 60%, 80% coverage will be given analyzing in the software. Next is weed detection. For the weed detection, drone is used for the weed detection. It identifies the weed infested area in the overall field. In developed countries, they will be having the larger areas. They couldn't identify where the weed infestation is severe. So using the drones, we could identify the weed infested area in the particular field. It differentiated what it will do now. It will differentiate actual crop and weed crop using the sensors. It enables the targeted herbicide application to the particular weed. It reduces the chemical usage and the cost of the particular herbicide, and it improves the crop yield, field cleanliness, etc. So it will, using the sensors, they will be categorizing weed crop and actual crop. They will be spraying the herbicide into the particular wheat crop and clear the field, so that the better crop yield we can get. So using the drones, it has been doing. So here the person using the drones, he is detecting actual weed and actual crop. Using that percentage, he is spraying the herbicide accordingly. Next is plant count. Earlier we have discussed many times about the plant count. Plant count is it will count per unit area how many plants it will be there. It will compare actual how much plant need to be there, and what is the gap between actual and reality. It helps to assess the plant population and gap in the field. It identifies the poor germination area, so that we can go for replantation decision, and it improves the crop management efficiency. Example, in Tanjavur region, they will be growing paddy. In most commonly, it is an rice bowl of Tamil Nadu. What it will be now, in paddy, suppose they are going for 10 into 15 centimeter spacing, the per square feet area they need to have around 8 to 9 plants per square feet area. Suppose if there is a lag between the 8 to 9, and suppose it is not there now, we can go for replantation decision, so that our production and productivity will not get affected. So that using the drones, we can count the plant population in per square feet area. Now we are done with actual applications of drone in agriculture. Till that, we had seen about what is drone, how we need to get the license, what are the legal procedures in purchasing of the drone, and we know more. We get an idea regarding the cost of the drone, and we got an idea about the application of drone in agriculture. So we had seen that where we can get the we are not detailed about where we can get the coaching for operation of the particular drone. This will be seen in the last part of the presentation. That is, the drone pilot coaching has been given by many regions in Tamil Nadu by the RPTO. Currently, as of now, there are 3 major stations. That is Tamil Nadu Agriculture University, Chennai. In Chennai, one institute is there, Madras Institute of Technology. In that, the remote sensing department has been giving, and in the Vellore and in Madurai, they are giving. So these are the major areas they are giving the RPTO. The program name is RPTO Drone License Training Program. So the duration is 10 days. Here, the certification has been given by DGCA approved Remote Pilot Training Organization. So the Remote Pilot Training Organization will be chosen by the DGCA depending upon the facilities in the particular department or a particular university. So suppose you want to get into this program, the eligibility is minimum 18 years age, and you need to have the basic education of 10th pass or above. Medical fitness in TNAU, what they are doing now, they are giving one certificate inside the college itself. So we need to get our fitness check from the dispensary or in the TNAU. They will be filling that, and they are giving the medical fitness certificate. Next, who are the target participants? First is farmers. Farmers need to get farmers are the key participant they are targeting. Next is students from the background of agriculture or engineering, and the extension professional, that is AO, AAOs and line departments, etc. Next is agri entrepreneur who are actually willing to purchase the drone. They need to get the drone license, right? So they are also getting targeted using this scheme. So in the training modules, what they are giving means, this in the training period of 10 days, they had split it into 3 categories. In the first 3 days, what they will do now, they will give the basics of drone knowledge. They will be taking class to us about the basics of drone and the technologies of drones, and what are the DGCA rules and digital sky platform, that is blue zone, red zone, and green zone. And next is flight planning and navigation related information will be given. And in the end of the third day, they will be conducting a test to us regarding the basics of drone, the rules, and digital sky platform related informations. They will be conducting the test. We need to get pass from the pass mark in the test. After that, from the fourth day, they will be giving the training using the computers. We will be using the computer system. They will be training us for the operation of drone and how to handle the drone. Like that, they will be training for the 3 days in the computer system. After that, practical exposure will be there for the rest of the 3 days, where the live drone flying training will be given. Field demonstration is given, and spraying calibration, and how much we need to mix the chemical and water proportion, and operation of spray. Like that, everything will be giving a practical exposure. And emergency handling also, they will be teaching us how to handle during the emergency situation. So these are the thing that have been given in the practical exposure class. In the 10th day, what they will do now, they will be conducting again the practical test, that how we are properly using the drone. They will be checking us. They will give us one design to put using the drone. For us, they given a butterfly to draw. Using the drone, we had drawn the butterfly symbol. From that, they had certified us. So this is actual procedure they are done using the program. Currently, most of the students, they are choosing mostly students and the farmers for giving the exposure training. So TNAU is working very eager to spread the drone technology in Tamil Nadu. So currently, 15 to 20 batches has been done in TNAU institutes. This is what the actual topic. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am, for a wonderful presentation. I will take up the questions now. In the meantime, can you please stop sharing the screen so that we can
Yes.
see your full video? Okay, I'll move on to the questions now.
Okay.
The first question is, how accurate is drone-based crop health monitoring? For example, detecting disease or nutrient deficiencies?
Ma'am, can you repeat the question once again?
Yeah. How accurate is drone-based crop health monitoring?
Okay, ma'am. Farmers couldn't identify the pest and diseases, how much percentage it has been infected. Farmers couldn't identify directly just by the visuals. Farmers can't predict the 10 percentage pest has been infected, 40 percentage pest has been infected. Farmers can't able to do. Using the drone, it will give 90 percentage accuracy regarding the pest and disease infestation, crop monitoring, plant count. This for this activity, the drone is doing very well now.
What is the approximate cost of adapting drone technology for small and medium farmers?
Ma'am, in our village, for covering of 1 acre, they are spending around 700 to 800 rupees, ma'am. Even with the manual labors, they are using around 700 to 800 rupees. That is 1.5 labors for 1 acre for the fertilizer application. That cost around for 1 labor, that is 600 rupees. 1.5 labors means that is again 800 to 900 rupees. So for the small and marginal farmers, there won't be much profit using the drone, ma'am. For the larger farmers, that is more than 5 acres or 10 acres, suppose the farmers is having larger area, larger field, he can go for the drone. It will reduces the time, and actually labor shortage also there for the large field. There is a severe labor shortage. They are not getting appropriate labor at the time when they are required. So it is more appropriate for the large farmers, and it is not suitable for the small farmers currently. Suppose they are doing the community farming, it will be very good for the overall particular village. They are doing this practice in common. They can use the drone for the overall fertilizer spraying or herbicide spraying or pesticide spraying. They can use, but individual farmers with less than 1 acre, it is not much appropriate, ma'am. In our region, the custom hiring centers are all giving the drone, ma'am. They are costing around 800 rupees for 1 acre, ma'am. That is equal to the manual cost, right? So the farmers are not preferring, small and marginal farmers are not preferring the drone, and they are also having certain doubt regarding the fertilizer spraying and the drop around 120-meter height, how it actually spray in the infected leaf, like that. They are questioning on themselves, and they are doubting the total process, and they are not believing. But when compared to the large farmer, even if they hire the labor, they are not satisfied, so that they are okay with the drone advancement, and they are accepting very much. But the small and marginal farmers, their acceptance level is also very low, and the cost is not also not appropriate for them.
Okay. Are there any government subsidies or schemes available to support farmers in using drones?
Yes, ma'am. Currently, Tamil Nadu government has been supporting for the utilization of drone, ma'am. What they are doing now, if the farmer is using the drone for the fertilizer application or pesticide application, they are providing that time. I mean that 12%, 13% they are giving according to their Aadhaar verification. They are giving, ma'am. In certain regions, they are giving. Not all the region. In certain regions, they are giving, particularly in Tirupur belt and all. They are giving, ma'am. Tirupur and Paladam belt in Coimbatore region, they are getting 12% subsidy for utilization of drone, because government need more drone usage, so that labor shortage cannot be faced by the farmers, so that they are promoting the utilization of drone. So they are giving 12% subsidy currently as a pilot basis in Tirupur belt, like that. In this region, in the Kongu belt, they are giving, ma'am.
Okay. What are the major challenges farmers face in adopting drone technology?
Major challenges is that, particular first is the cost. For the small farmers, they are facing the cost issue, and their acceptance towards the adoption of drone is very low, ma'am. Farmers are not fully satisfied for the utilization of drone in their field, because when they are using the manual labors, they will be working in front of their eyes, so that farmers believe in seeing is believing concept, right? So the farmers is not accepting and accepting towards those advanced technologies, and they are not believing this will be successful for their field, like that. Next major drawback is that the purchasing cost of the drone is very high, ma'am. The small and marginal farmers cannot afford that much amount to purchase the drone for very smaller area. The drone cost comes around, basic cost comes around 3,75,000 to 4,20,000. So the farmers couldn't afford that much to purchase a drone. And one more thing, that using the drones, we can use only the liquid fertilizers. They can't go for the granular formulation at all. So the liquid fertilizers is somewhat cost low, but farmers, what they think now, the liquid fertilizers are cost very high. Farmers didn't analyzing that. When while going for the survey, I'm instructing the farmers to adopt liquid fertilizer. What they are telling, that will be very cost, like that. So the farmers prospected towards the liquid fertilizers is very low, ma'am. So that is also a major disadvantage for the utilization of drone. And in many villages, even they are not getting proper facilities in the hilly regions of in the foothills of Ooty and all. Farmers are not getting proper connectivity, and they are not getting the information regarding the drones also. So the reach of the drone in the hilly regions is also very low. That is also a major disadvantages for the drone. That is a major challenges for the drone utilization. um, and that's it, ma'am. So these are the major challenges.
Okay. Are there any service providers available for farmers who cannot afford to own their own ground, own
Yes, ma'am.
roads?
In the private fertilizer shop and all, they are purchasing the drone and they are having one pilot along with them. What they will do now, for the time basis, they will be hiring those pilot to the pilot along with the drone to the particular farmer field, and for 20 minutes spraying, they need to pay 600 to 800 rupees. That will cover around 1.2 kilometers only. That is within the 20 minutes they could cover around 1.2 kilometers. So the farmers need to pay around 600 to 800. For the pilot also they need to pay separately. For the runtime they need to pay, and for the battery they need to pay separately. There is in the custom hiring center, government are giving, ma'am. First government is providing using the custom hiring center. Privately, the private fertilizer shop, they are giving drones to the farmers on the time period on the area of the particular farmer field.
Okay. How does data collected by drones help in decision making for farmers?
The using the crop monitoring, the drone is used for crop monitoring. What it will do now, it will give us a data, and that data will feed into the particular software, and it will give us actual damage, actual pest infestation, everything is given using the map, so that we could easily get the idea regarding the overall field status. What farmers will do, they will walk around the buns, and they will see how much pest has been affected, how much disease has been affected. Like that, they will be walking in around the field, and they will be seeing, so that if suppose the middle of the field get affected severely now, farmers couldn't know that. By using the drones, it will capture, and that image has been fed, and that is using the color maps and all, the infestation level and infestation percentage will be fine, and using that, the farmers can spray the fertilizer or herbicide where that is actually needed. They can spray and use it, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. I have completed the questions from my side. We have one participant here, Mr. Sanjay. If you have any question, you can unmute your mic and ask, sir.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. See, agriculture is okay. Is there any usage of drone in fishery and aquaculture?
Currently, it is not there, sir. In agriculture, they are predominantly using. In fishery and all, they are not using, sir.
Okay. Okay. And one more thing, this RPTO training in Tamil Nadu you have mentioned, but in other states like, for example, in Odisha, how do we know where they give this RPTO training?
Sir, you go to the website, DGCA website, sir. In that, they will be mentioning the area, in which region. They will be mentioning the state. From the state, you need to select your district. Every district is having training organization, sir.
Okay.
You go to the DGCA website and you check it, sir. It is there.
Okay, thank you. And one more thing, drone price you have mentioned, but where can we purchase these, usable drones?
Sir, nowadays it is available in Amazon also, sir. It is available in Amazon, and many drone production unit is there, sir. We need to contact them. They are having many websites, sir. Agri drones, drona agri, like that. Many website is there, sir. They are selling at the low cost, including the subsidy provided by the government. They are giving us, sir.
Okay. So you said drona agri, right?
Drona agri.
Okay. Okay, thank you, ma'am. So that's all. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, ma'am. We have now completed the round of questions on behalf of agricultureinformation.com. We would like to thank Ms. Vishnu Priya B for the talk and for answering the questions. This meeting will now be closed.
Okay.
Thank you.